People, deluded, good evening, and thank you very much for tuning back in. I hope you're all well and safe and have returned home safely. So yeah, I've caught up with Reiss Nelson, his latest game in regards to, who did they play? Hoffenheim versus Bayer Leverkusen. They won 4-1 and he got 64 minutes. And yeah, you guys know I like to look at players' progress for myself, and I'd encourage you to not only take my words for it, of course I'd want you to take my words, but assume I'm chatting nonsense and go and look for yourself. Because before I get onto it, one thing that really annoys me, especially with Reiss Nelson, is nothing of his own, and you can say it with just about any youngster, is the hype. We'll never avoid the hype. I'm not saying he shouldn't be hyped because he's a bloody good player. I mean, every game he has played this season tells a story. I'll get onto it later, but even he's only completed 90 minutes once, so that shows you. Obviously he's young. He needs to adapt to playing 2-3 high intensity games a week and all of these sort of things if he hasn't already. But that tells you a story. Think about it. If you're a footballer and you're not more or less playing 90 minutes, that means you're either showing something to discourage the manager or you're not showing something. So he's still on the way to go as a professional footballer. But if you was to look at his stats, and you'd see the minutes he's played, the games he's played, which is 6. He's got 5 goals and 1 assist, so he's had a hand in 6 goals in 6 games. You would see them stats and go wow. Then you're hearing things like rapid development and things like that. He is developing very well and he's taking to it, and I'm happy to see after he's been in and out the side essentially, but it looks like the next couple of weeks he'll be a main starter or playing within the side. He still has to earn the trust fully of Nagelsmann, which I'd probably say while Nagelsmann again recognises that he's an elite footballer in the making, he hasn't currently got that. I mean, he came off after 64th minute. My big thing with Nelson, I'll get onto his performance in a bit, but he's a young player, and it happens to old players. What he needs to do is, for 90 minutes, you're still effective. I don't want to say standards drops, but because he's a young player, at times he goes through the motions and becomes a bit anonymous as the game goes on. But he still has the bright sparks, as you're seeing. For me, against Leverkusen, he played well. I mean, in his 64 minutes or so, he played up front, and it's helping him as a professional footballer. We know he's a winger/cam, if you was to ask him his positions or where he'd excel at. Last year, he made 16 appearances for Arsenal, the bulk of them being at fullback. Against Leverkusen, he started up front, in which looked like a 3-5-2. Forgive me if I'm wrong. You could say 5-3-2 by that same logic. But whatever way you're gonna look at it, he played up front in it, and that's a good thing for him. He's learning different positions. He's learning different aspects of the game. When he's playing at fullback, he has to learn when to shuffle across. He has to pay attention to his positioning. When he's playing up front, like you saw in this game, he had to kind of improve playing with his back to goal. When you can't see things, when you've kind of got to hold it up, he'll never be a big, strong target man. But these things improve you, and obviously on the flanks, if nothing more, it just improves your IQ. I felt throughout the game he linked up well with his teammates. He got some nice touches. He would have had an assist to go with his goal that we'll talk about. If Grealish didn't pull it wide, he set him up nicely. His goal came in the 18th or 19th minute. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm referring to Reiss Nelson. He actually earned the corner that led to his goal as well. Good play down that side. It was a short corner. Clearly they've worked on it at training. It's too easy from Leverkusen. They're just backing off him essentially, and then he sorts his foot in out and he slots it into the far post, and it's a very good goal. I mean, between him and Lacazette, maybe that's an Arsenal thing that they were working with, but it's a very good goal for the man. Elite celebration as well, and for nothing more, it's his confidence, because I always tell you, look, confidence is a big thing. It doesn't matter if you're 17 or 30. If you don't believe in yourself, it will have a subconscious effect. And likewise, if you believe you're better than you are, to a degree, you be humble. I'm not saying be illogical. With that, you will play well. I've said this to you many a times. You see great footballers, you see technically great footballers who there's nothing they can't do with a football at their feet, and forgive me for my language, but they're crap. And you see players that are not great technically and they're excelling at the top level. More time is obviously there's intelligence and other things to speak about, but more time is belief. If you don't believe, you're in the wrong place, and I think he's got self-belief, so he's doing well, man. Like I said, he linked up well with his teammates. He got some nice touches. All in all, for me, he went through the motions. It was a good appearance. Out of 10, I'd give him a 6. Probably even a 7. I feel a bit generous for the young Jack. Give him a 7. The cynical in me, the critic, wants to say 6.56 because he had a good game. He obviously scored. He linked up well. He justified his start, but obviously he faded anyways. Not to say that he played poor and he was missing tap-ins, because he wasn't. He was still getting on the ball, still helping out defensively, still getting neat touches and things like that. But yeah, like it just. towards the end, he still looked like I would say, from what I saw of the game, for the 90 minutes I saw, he did look like a threat throughout the whole game. But I just think his standards kind of dropped, and and he just seemed like he's dealing with a bit of fatigue there. But I'm very hopeful he can play in the week in the Champions League. Hopefully, he starts. That's the big one for me. At the end of the day, for what I've said, 6 games played, 5 goals, 1 assist. He still needs to try and play 90 minutes and get himself in the team, or make it a thing where Nagelsmann is reluctant to remove him or not place him in the side. But so far, so good, man. And he's building on his double figures of appearances he did at Arsenal. 6 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. It's a good talent, and I believe he's one of the youngest players to score similar figures in the Bundesliga and things like that. And you're seeing Jadon Sancho get stronger every week as well. So I don't think necessarily going abroad is the be-all and end-all for every single young footballer, but you'd like to think how many could develop if not abroad, just given a chance in the right environment. Because we need to remember, people need to remember Dortmund, specifically more so Hoffenheim, they're developing their young players. They're developing players. They're not really on the splash thing, and they've got young managers or players, people that are in management that have an ethos for playing young players. I watch Bundesliga, but I'm not a religious follower of it. Like, I can't really tell you everything like I can in the Premier League, but I'm sure, despite not having the finances, there are some sides that don't really care for the young player stuff. So we can't just say it's a white and black world where you leave and join any club abroad, you'll get chances, because it's not like that. Pick the right club abroad. Jadon Sancho's at Dortmund. They give chances to young players. It took him I want to say it took him a while, because they clearly had a plan, but they blooded him in. I mean, people are seeing him in the England squad and all of these things now. They're the same people that blasted Dortmund for recalling him from the Under-17s World Cup. Obviously, Nagelsmann's a young manager himself, and Hoffenheim have to develop players. It's not even just Nelson. Obviously, Joe Linton's a bit older than him, but he's there. Grealish isn't exactly the oldest of players as well. So there are some young players in their early 20s/teenagers like himself. So yeah, another game under his belt. Every game brings confidence, to be honest with you. So yeah, man, I felt in the first half as well, what I liked about him as well, he was trying to harass the fullbacks. He was trying to press as well, and he didn't shy away from the defensive aspect of the game. So yeah, at the end of the day, his team won 4-1. Leverkusen weren't really at it and things like that, and it was a disappointing game, to be fair, to be honest with you. I would have thought it would have been a great game to see everybody. You guys know, of obviously Jamaican descent, so I want to see Bailey. Hervites is obviously playing. I'll always trek to see him. The same with Brandt and our man Nelson. 2 birds, 1 stone sort of thing, which I thought. But yeah, man, it's a great win for them, and yeah, it is what it is, man. And I'm so sure it was 1-1 at a point as well, so if I can remember correctly of the game, I should do, because I watched it and I've got it recorded. I'm going to watch it again. But yeah, for that, anyways, people, guys, deluded, I've got nothing more to say on that, man. I'm out. Thank you for watching, and them things there, I'm out.